My name is Maria Sanchez, and I'm 28 years old. I never imagined I'd be telling this story, at least not like this, not from the middle of a breakup that felt both inevitable and impossible at the same time. But here I am peeling back the layers of a relationship I once believed was steady and safe, learning how wrong I was about both him and myself. For 3 years, I was with Wayne, my boyfriend. He was the charismatic type, the kind who made every room tilt slightly toward him the moment he walked in. Back when we met through mutual friends in college, he had this quiet confidence paired with a smile that felt like a promise. I was the grounded one, the woman who worked a predictable marketing job while he jumped between freelance gigs, creative projects, and short-term contracts. It always felt like I was the one holding us in place. From the beginning, I poured myself into us. I helped Wayne rebuild his portfolio when work dried up. I covered rent when he fell behind. Last year, when he was laid off from a media contract, I picked up extra shifts. I'd come home exhausted, my feet aching, but I'd still cook his favorite arroz con pollo because I knew he'd be discouraged. He'd rest his head on my shoulder and murmur, "You're my anchor, Maria." And God, I believed him. I believed every word. But the cracks, they were there. Small at first, hairline fractures that widened only when I looked back in hindsight. The biggest one came in the form of his ex-girlfriend, Lily. She was his old friend, as he liked to call her. They'd dated on and off in high school, one of those relationships he'd always claim was ancient history. But history has a way of showing up in the present, especially when you're still texting it every day. It started subtly. I'd chuckle under his breath during dinner, a notification lighting up his phone at midnight. A shared inside joke I wasn't part of. Every time I asked, he'd shrug. "It's just Lily. Don't make it weird." He'd flash that easy smile, the one that lulled me every time. But something gnawed at me, a quiet ache that whispered I wasn't imagining things. Lily was spontaneous, Wayne would say. Lily traveled. Lily wasn't afraid to take risks. I tried not to hear the comparisons, but they lingered. And I tried to trust him. I tried to believe that boundaries mattered to both of us. I wanted to be steady, not controlling. We talked about marriage sometimes, about kids one day. I even started saving quietly for an engagement ring, one he'd never get the chance to give. Then came the night everything began to crumble. It was a Thursday morning. I was eating breakfast, half listening to Wayne talk about deadlines, when he said it like it was nothing, like he was telling me he'd picked up milk on the way home. "Oh, by the way," he said, scrolling casually through his phone, "Lily's going to crash here Friday night." My fork froze halfway to my lips. "Our place?" I asked. "Yeah." He didn't look up. "Like, on the couch." That got his attention. He lifted his eyebrows, amused. "No, the bed. The couch is terrible. She's only here for one night." Those words, the bed, hit me square in the chest. I blinked. "Wayne, she's your ex." "So," he said, laughing lightly, "it's 2025, Maria. People can be friends with their exes. Don't be insecure." It felt like the floor tilted beneath me. Something inside me curled tight, like my heart was bracing for impact. I tried to stay calm. "I'm asking for a boundary. We have an air mattress. She doesn't need to sleep with you. It's disrespectful to me." He sighed. Loud. The kind of sigh meant to make me feel ridiculous. "God, Maria, you're acting so possessive. Lily and I have shared beds before. Nothing ever happened." My stomach nodded. "Wayne, I love you, but I need you to hear me. I wouldn't share a bed with an ex, and I wouldn't expect you to be okay with it if I did." He stared at me like I'd missed some obvious memo. "That's because you're uptight about this stuff. I'm not." And then, like he wanted to twist the knife, he added, "Maybe that's the problem. Lily gets me. She remembers the fun version of me, not the one tied down with boundaries." The fun version. The implication hit me. I was the burden. The anchor had become the weight. "Wayne," I whispered, "I'm telling you this hurts me." He crossed his arms. "If it bothers you that much, you can crash somewhere else for the night. Lily's coming. End of discussion." Those words carved themselves into me. "If you don't like it, leave." For a long moment, I just stared at him. The man I had sacrificed so much for. The man I thought would fight for me. But he didn't look sorry, not even conflicted, just inconvenienced. Something shifted then, something subtle but final. "You're right," I said softly. He frowned, confused. "About what?" "You're right that I shouldn't be possessive." His smirk returned. "See good." "So, but you're also right about something else," I interrupted. "I can leave." I stood, walked to the bedroom, and pulled out a duffel bag. Wayne followed, annoyance flashing. "What are you doing? Are you seriously leaving over this?" "You told me to crash somewhere else," I said calmly, folding clothes into my bag. I didn't mean it literally, he snapped. Don't be dramatic. But I was already zipping the bag shut. My heart felt like a stone, but my mind was quiet, almost frighteningly clear. I slung the bag over my shoulder. Have a good night with Lily. His jaw tightened. If you walk out that door, Maria, we're done. I paused at the doorway. His eyes were cold. No regret. No softness. Just ego. I nodded once. Noted. And I left. The drive to my sister Elena's place was a blur, streetlights smearing across the windshield, my hands trembling on the wheel. I kept hearing his voice, those sharp words echoing in my chest. And yet, under all the pain, something else pulsed quietly. Relief. Elena opened the door before I even knocked. Maria. What happened? I didn't cry. I thought I would, but I didn't. I need your couch, I said softly. It's a long story. She pulled me inside her embrace, warm and grounding. Then start from the beginning. I didn't know then just how much everything would unravel, not just for me, but for Wayne too. Karma was moving faster than either of us realized. I woke up on Elena's couch the next morning with the uneasy feeling that the night before had been a dream. But the quiet apartment, the sunlight slanting through her curtains, and my phone lying silent on the coffee table told me it wasn't. Everything had really happened. I'd walked out on Wayne, and he'd let me. Elena didn't push. She'd always been the calm in our family, the one who listened before speaking. She handed me a mug of coffee and sat beside me. So she said gently, "Want to talk about it?" I took a slow sip, the warmth settling in my chest. Wayne invited Lily to stay over, in our bed. Elena blinked once, then twice. I'm sorry, what? Yeah. My voice felt hollow. And when I said it made me uncomfortable, he told me I was being possessive. Then he told me to crash somewhere else if I didn't like it. Elena let out a low, incredulous whistle. And this is the man you've been supporting for years. I nodded, the truth hitting me all over again. The rent, the cooking, the reassurance, the emotional labor, how I'd bent myself into shapes to make us work. Elena put her hand over mine. I'm glad you left. I didn't respond because some part of me still asked, could I have done more? Should I have fought harder? Should he have? But instead of drowning in questions, I forced myself to focus on healing, whatever that might look like. The first day, I lay on the couch for hours staring at the ceiling. I called in sick to work. My thoughts were loud and messy, pulling me into memories I didn't want. Wayne laughing at Lily's jokes, Wayne comparing our relationship to his past, Wayne shrugging off my concerns as insecurity. I kept journaling because Elena suggested it. At first it felt silly writing my emotions like some cliched teen, but as the words began to fill the pages, they turned into clarity. I listed every moment that had hurt, every boundary Wayne ignored, every time I felt small, every time he'd made me feel like safe was code for boring. By the second day, the storm inside me began settling. I made myself eggs for breakfast. I took a shower and didn't rush. I even applied for a team lead position at work, a promotion I'd skipped months ago because Wayne had panicked when I considered traveling for training. I unblocked him on my phone, too. Not because I wanted him back. Not because I needed to see anything. But because I didn't want to hide. I didn't want him to have that kind of power over me anymore. Still, the silence from him felt eerie. No texts, no calls, not even a guilt trip. Maybe Lily was already there. Maybe he didn't even notice I'd left. That thought stung more than I expected. By day 3, Elena dragged me out for a run. Fresh air helps. Trust me. We jogged along the river path. I panted through the first mile before the world finally felt bigger than my heartbreak. The wind against my face, the sound of bikes passing, the smell of the water, it reminded me I still had a life beyond Wayne. You know, I said breathlessly, maybe I dodged a bullet. Elena shot me a sideways glance. Not maybe. Definitely. I laughed, yet the first laugh in days, shaky, but real. Later that morning, I sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through work emails when my phone buzzed. Wayne. The name lit across my screen like a warning. I hesitated, then answered. Maria. His voice was ragged, breaking. Thank God. Please don't hang up. I braced myself. What do you want, Wayne? He sniffed, actually sniffed, and then everything came tumbling out in panicked, disjointed pieces. Lily, she lied. Or no, I don't know. She showed up last night, and we were just watching movies like I told you. And then this morning, her girlfriend Maria, came to the apartment. I didn't even know she had one. And she started screaming, accusing me of stealing Lily, throwing stuff neighbors called the cops. I leaned back in my chair. The irony hit me so hard it almost made me laugh. He didn't even know Lily was in a relationship, and yet she was the one he wanted to share a bed with. So I said quietly she had a girlfriend. Yes, he said, desperate. She said Lily told her they'd broken up, but apparently they hadn't, and now she's blowing up social media, tagging me and Lily calling us homewreckers. I swear, Maria, nothing happened between me and Lily. It was all a misunderstanding. I cut him off. Wayne, that's not the point. But don't you see, he pleaded. I messed up. You were right about boundaries. I shouldn't have dismissed you. Please, can you come over? We need to talk. I need you. I miss you. This whole thing, it's a nightmare. It was almost impressive how quickly he went from minimizing me to needing me. I stared at the sunlight pouring across the table edge. I waited for the familiar ache, but it didn't come. I'm busy, I said simply. He exhaled sharply. Maria, don't do this. I said I was sorry. You told me you loved me. Goodbye, Wayne. I hung up. Seconds later, the first text arrived. Please, talk to me. I'm a mess. I need you. Then another. Don't ignore me. You're not like this. You're kind. You're my anchor. Then another. Fine. Be like that. Shows who you really are. Then, Lily screwed me over, and you're just going to let me suffer. I didn't reply to any of them. By afternoon, I received messages from his friends, from his sister, even his mother. Be mature, Maria. He made a mistake. Don't abandon him like this. A good woman forgives. A good woman, a forgiving woman, a woman who sacrifices without question. How convenient for everyone except me. I didn't text back. I didn't defend myself. Let them say whatever they wanted. I had nothing left to prove. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees, Wayne's messages had turned frantic. Maria, please. I can't sleep. I can't think. You're the only one who gets me. Please come home. I stared at my phone calm in a way I hadn't been in years. I didn't answer. He had made his choices. Now he was living their consequences. Wayne didn't take my silence well. I expected anger eventually, but I didn't expect the sheer desperation that spilled out of him over the next 2 days. It was like watching someone unravel thread by thread, each message exposing another layer of need, entitlement, or manipulation. By the morning after his meltdown call, I woke up to 17 texts. Maria, please. Maria, answer me. I'm sorry. I didn't know Lily was lying. I need you. Why are you being cruel? Cruel. Right. Because refusing to clean up the mess he created was cruelty now. Elena glanced at my phone from across the table. He's spiraling. It's not my job to catch him, I said softly. She nodded. Good. Keep repeating that. Later, I found myself scrolling through social media out of curiosity, something I'd been avoiding. I typed Lily's name into the search bar. Dozens of posts appeared instantly. A woman, clearly Lily's girlfriend, had uploaded screenshots of texts, photos, and long paragraphs detailing how Lily had snuck off to see Wayne, pretending it was just friendship. She tagged Wayne in every post. The comment sections were brutal. Wow, he's still chasing his ex, embarrassing. This is giving desperate energy LMAO. He knew she was in a relationship. Men like him don't change. I didn't like seeing his name dragged publicly. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted distance. But as much as I hated drama, I couldn't deny it. This was the consequence he'd built brick by brick. By midday, the guilt-tripping texts began. Maria, please stop doing this to me. I said I'm sorry. Why isn't that enough? You're punishing me for one mistake. A real partner wouldn't abandon me right now. I stared at that last message for a long time. A real partner. Funny he only used that phrase when he needed something from me. I put my phone face down and took a deep breath. If I wasn't careful, he'd drag me back into the emotional quicksand where I'd lived for years. Elena must have sensed it. Let's get out of the house, she said. You're not sitting here letting him worm into your head. We walked to a small bookstore down the street, a cozy little place with wooden shelves and plants dangling in the windows. I wandered through rows of novels, memoirs, travel guides. It felt healing just to be around stories that weren't mine. I picked up a book about rediscovering yourself after heartbreak. Elena smirked. Subtle. I laughed, rolling my eyes. But even in that moment of lightness, my phone buzzed again. I didn't check it. I refused. That night, we had pasta for dinner. I washed dishes while Elena dried. The apartment felt warm, safe, quiet. Then the doorbell rang. We froze. Elena peered through the peephole and turned to me with wide eyes. Maria, it's him. My stomach dropped. Before I could react, Elena cracked the door just enough to speak. Wayne, now is not a good time. I need to talk to her, he said, voice shaking. No, she replied firmly. You need to leave. But he pushed lightly against the door, not enough to shove in, but enough to assert that he wasn't going away. Please. I just need a minute. I stepped forward. Elena hesitated, but finally opened the door halfway. Wayne looked awful. Hair messy, eyes red, clothes wrinkled. But beneath the exhaustion, there was something strange, a flicker of expectation. Like he believed he just needed to show up broken enough for me to fix him again. Maria, he breathed. Thank God. Can we talk? I kept my arms folded. What do you want? He swallowed hard. I messed up. I know that. I shouldn't have dismissed you. I shouldn't have said those things. I'm falling apart here. Wayne, I said quietly, you didn't apologize because you understood. You apologized because Lily's drama exploded in your face. He flinched. That's not fair. It's true. He rubbed his forehead. Can you just come home? We can reset. Start over. Lily's gone. She blocked me. I told her I'm done with her. You didn't cut her off for me, I said. You cut her off because she embarrassed you. His jaw tightened. You're twisting everything. You always do this when you're emotional. My eyes snapped up, emotional. He exhaled sharply like he'd stepped into a trap he'd set himself. I didn't mean it like that. You dismissed me, I said steadily. You mocked me. You told me my feelings didn't matter. You told me to leave, so I did. He looked at me with devastation and frustration tangled together. You're supposed to fight for us. You're supposed to come back and forgive me. No, I said. I was supposed to be a partner, not your therapist, not your anchor while you chased excitement with your ex. His eyes hardened. So that's it. 3 years and you just throw it all away. I didn't blink. You threw it away first. Silence stretched between us, thick, suffocating. Then something changed in his face. The desperation twisted into something sharper. You're different, he murmured. Cold. When did you get like this? When I finally saw you clearly, I replied. He stared at me as if he couldn't recognize the woman standing before him. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he'd only ever seen the version of me who absorbed everything quietly. I love you, he whispered finally. Does that mean nothing? It means something, I said softly, but not enough. Wayne looked like someone had punched the air out of him. He took a step back, shaking his head. You'll regret this. Elena closed the door before he could say anything else. I stood there, breath trembling, heart racing, but not breaking. Not this time. The cracks he caused weren't healing around him anymore. They were healing without him. The morning after Wayne showed up at Elena's door, something inside me felt different. Lighter, steadier, like I'd finally stopped clinging to a sinking ship. For the first time in a long time, I woke up without reaching for my phone to check whether he'd apologized, attacked, or pleaded. I didn't care anymore. My life slowly and quietly was becoming mine again. I made coffee without wondering if Wayne would complain that it was too strong. I showered without rushing. I put on a soft sweater Elena had lent me and actually took a moment to look at myself in the mirror. My eyes were tired but clear. I felt free. Later that day, Elena nudged me from my spot on the couch. Come on, you've been hiding for days. Let's do something normal. Normal, I echoed. Yeah, like living, breathing, being human. You should re-download your dating apps just to look, not commit. I raised an eyebrow. Elena? She grinned. Not to date immediately. Just to remind yourself the world is bigger than Wayne. I rolled my eyes, but eventually took her advice. I re-downloaded the app I'd deleted months ago, fully expecting to feel nauseous. But surprisingly, I didn't. I filled out my profile again, keeping it simple and honest, and started browsing. Not swiping, not chatting, just letting myself see the possibilities that existed outside the bubble of my old relationship. I only swiped right on one guy, Samuel Carter. Dark hair, warm smile, eyes that looked kind rather than charming. His profile was funny without trying too hard. He mentioned liking quiet mornings, hiking trails, and terrible sci-fi movies. It felt refreshing, simple, grounded, peaceful. We matched instantly. Samuel messaged coffee sometime, no pressure. I just like meeting new people. There was nothing aggressive, no urgency, just curiosity. I hesitated, but then my fingers typed back. Sure, coffee sounds good. We settled on Saturday morning at a small cafe downtown. I didn't realize how significant that tiny plan would become. By Friday afternoon, Wayne was still spiraling. But I stopped checking his messages. Elena read a few to make sure nothing dangerous was happening, but I didn't see them firsthand. I didn't want his emotions contaminating my progress. Meanwhile, the internet firestorm over Lily's relationship drama kept escalating. Screenshots, calls, voice notes leaked. Wayne had been lying to Lily about being emotionally available, and she'd been lying to her girlfriend about being just friends with him. Their mess was now an explosion, burning everything around them. Mutual friends reached out to me, not Wayne. Maria, you really dodged a bullet. Girl, he is unraveling. Lily's girlfriend dragged him online full scorched earth. Some sympathy messages, some gossip, all of it noise. I ignored most of it. Instead, I spent Friday night cooking with Elena and watching a comfort movie. There was laughter, small, soft laughter, but real, and somehow that felt like the greatest victory. Saturday morning came quietly. I put effort into getting ready. Not for Samuel, not really, but for myself. I braided my hair, applied soft makeup, and chose a simple white blouse with jeans. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see someone pretending to be okay. I saw someone who was becoming okay. The cafe was warm with brick walls and pastries behind glass. Samuel waved from a corner table, looking the same as his pictures, which was already a good sign. Maria, he asked with a smile. I nodded. Hi. The conversation flowed easily. We talked about work, ridiculous clients, favorite books, travel dreams. He listened when I spoke, really listened. His laughter wasn't performative, and his kindness didn't feel like a performance. At one point, he said, "You're easy to talk to." I felt warmth bloom beneath my ribs. For the first time since everything with Wayne, I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel like someone picking up pieces. I felt like myself, quiet, thoughtful, alive. Halfway through our date, as we laughed about the worst movies we'd ever seen, I felt someone staring. A chill crawled up my spine. I turned. Wayne stood at the entrance. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair uncombed, his eyes wide with disbelief, anger, and something darker, panic. He scanned the cafe until his gaze landed on me and Samuel. His face contorted. He stormed forward. People turned, conversations paused, chairs shifted. Maria, he hissed, voice cracking. Really, a date already. Samuel looked between us, surprised, but calm. Is everything okay? Wayne ignored him entirely. I can't believe this. I'm falling apart, and you're out here what? Replacing me like I never mattered. I kept my voice level. Wayne, this is not the time, and not the place. He laughed, sharp, bitter, broken. Oh, but it's the perfect place, isn't it? You get to show off how fast you moved on. I didn't move on fast, I said, keeping my tone calm. I moved on cleanly. A ripple of whispers passed through the cafe. Wayne's voice rose. I made one mistake. One. And you what? You want to act like a saint, like you weren't supposed to fight for us. Samuel stood slightly protective, but not aggressive. She said, now isn't the time. You need to leave. Wayne turned on him with fury. And who the hell are you? Samuel didn't flinch. Someone who respects boundaries. The cafe fell silent. Wayne's face twisted into something like heartbreak mixed with pure humiliation. Maria, please. His voice cracked. I love you. I need you. You know I do. I can't do this without you. My heart clenched not from longing but from realization. This wasn't love. This was dependency, ego, fear of being alone. And I was done being someone's emotional crutch. Wayne, I said softly, I hope you get the help you need, but I'm not coming back. He shook his head violently. No, you don't get to end it like this. You don't get to walk away. I already did. Those 3 words shattered him. He stared at me with disbelief so raw it was almost frightening. Then slowly the rage drained out of him, replaced by emptiness. He turned and stumbled out of the cafe. The door swung shut behind him. And in the silence that followed, I felt something inside me settle like the last thread tying me to him had finally snapped. Samuel sat down slowly. Are you okay? I exhaled long and steady. Yeah, I think I am. And for the first time in a long while, I truly meant it. Wayne leaving the cafe should have been the hardest moment of all, but instead it felt like an answer one I'd been circling for months without the courage to say out loud. As the door closed behind him, the air in the room shifted. The tension he brought with him evaporated, replaced by a quiet hum of normal life returning. Samuel watched me carefully, not prying, not judging, just present. Do you want to leave? He asked gently. I shook my head. No, I'm okay. And surprisingly, I was. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. There was no crushing weight of guilt trying to drag me back to him. The old version of me would have chased Wayne out of the cafe, would have worried about him, soothed him, made excuses for him. The Maria who lived in the shadow of Wayne's moods would have collapsed into apology. But that Maria wasn't here anymore. The new me sat across from a man who didn't demand my emotional labor, who didn't turn his chaos into my responsibility, who didn't twist my boundaries into accusations. Samuel offered a small, reassuring smile. We can talk about something else. Or say nothing. Whatever you need. I think I said slowly, I just want to breathe. He nodded, then breathe. So we finished our coffee, quietly, comfortably, without the pressure of turning this date into anything other than what it was, a conversation. A moment of peace. A reminder that the world didn't end when Wayne's did. Afterward, we walked outside together. The sun was warm, the streets busy with weekend life. Samuel didn't reach for my hand. He didn't hover. He just walked beside me at a respectful distance. When we reached the corner where our paths separated, he paused. I'd like to see you again, he said, but only if you want that. No expectations, no timeline. I appreciated the clarity, the softness, the lack of urgency. I'd like that, I said. He smiled, warm, genuine, and then turned the corner, leaving me with the feeling that a new chapter wasn't something I had to force. It would come naturally if I let it. When I got back to Elena's apartment, she was waiting with raised eyebrows. So she asked, "How'd it go? I saw the news alert on your face. Wayne found you." I groaned. "Don't remind me." She snorted. "Let me guess, he made a scene." "You could say that." We talked for a while as I recounted the confrontation. Elena shook her head the entire time. "You handled it perfectly," she said proudly. "Old Maria would have let him drag her out of that cafe in tears." "I know," I admitted, "and that scares me more than what he did today." "Good," she said firmly. "Growth should scare you a little." Later that evening, I finally checked my phone. Dozens of unread messages, but I only cared about one Wayne's last text sent right after he left the cafe. "I hope you're happy. You ruined everything." I deleted the whole thread. No anger, no sadness, just closure. The next day, something unexpected happened. Wayne's sister messaged me. Normally, I would have ignored anything connected to him, but the preview line caught my eye. "I owe you an apology." Against my better judgment, I opened it. "Maria, I didn't understand. I thought you were being cold and distant, but I saw Wayne's meltdown yesterday, and I saw the posts about Lily, and I realized you spent years cleaning up after him. I'm sorry for the things I said. You didn't deserve any of it. I hope you find someone who sees your worth. Rachel." It was the first time anyone from Wayne's side acknowledged the truth, not the version he told them, but the real one. I didn't respond, but I appreciated it. Closure didn't always come from the place you expected. That evening, Elena and I sat on her balcony watching the city lights. I held a warm cup of tea between my palms. "You seem calmer," she said quietly. "I feel calmer," I admitted, tired but calm. "You're allowed to rest now," she said. "You've carried more than your share." I exhaled a long breath. "I don't know what the future looks like." "You don't need to," she said. "You only need to know you're done with the past." The wind brushed across my face, soft, almost like a blessing. And she was right. I didn't know if Samuel and I would go on a second date. I didn't know if Wayne would finally learn from this. I didn't know where my heart would land next. But I knew myself again. I knew the version of Maria who refused to be belittled for having boundaries, who didn't decorate disrespect with excuses, who didn't stay where she was unwelcome, who didn't carry the emotional load of someone who refused to carry their own. I'd walked out of that apartment expecting heartbreak. Instead, I found peace. And maybe, just maybe, something better waiting around the corner. As I sat there with the city glowing below and Elena humming quietly beside me, I felt the final piece of that old chapter slide into place. It was over. Completely. Irreversibly. And beautifully so.